with the force of a locomotive. The intruder, a man based on the build, in dark-colored pants and shirt, crept toward the bed. She wasn't a small woman, 5'7", with ample curves, and she worked out regularly, but she could see that the man had several inches and at least 30 pounds on her. And although it didn't look like he had a weapon on him, there was no way for her to be sure of that. Still, she had to do what she could to protect herself. She didn't move until the man's back was fully to her. Then, lifting the book high above her head, she raced forward with a battle cry she hoped would catch him off guard. He turned, his eyes wide in the eyelet cutouts of the ski mask he wore over his face. She slammed the book into his jaw with all her strength, then let it fall to the floor as she turned and ran. 350 pages might stun, but it wouldn't incapacitate a man of his size. She had to get out of the house, fast. Her bare feet slapped against the wood floor of the hallway. She made it to the top of the stairs before a hand grabbed her roughly from behind and she was thrown to the floor. She landed on her back and the intruder was on her before she could make any attempt to get to her feet. His hand clamped down over her mouth, muffling the scream that tore out of her throat. She bucked and thrashed, trying to throw him off or free an arm or leg to lash out with, but she'd been right about his size being no match for her. Tears leaked from her eyes as he leaned in close. He smelled of whiskey, tobacco, and something else. Something foul and more than a little threatening. Fear ricocheted through her body. The man smiled maliciously, and she knew that he was getting off on terrorizing her. Was that what he was there for? To terrorize her? Assault her? Worse? Her heart thudded so hard it felt like it was only seconds away from beating right out of her chest. The man pressed himself against her, and her entire body shuddered. His smile grew wider, sending her fear spiking. He brought his face within centimeters of hers. "Stop asking questions about your brother, or you'll end up just like him." He lifted his hand from her mouth, but her scream was cut off by his fist connecting with the side of her temple. She was only vaguely aware of his weight lifting off her before she was plunged into darkness. Chapter 2. Sitting at his desk at West Security and Investigations in the late afternoon, Thaddeus Jeremiah Roman, TJ to everyone except his mother, put the finishing touches on his report to the wife of a wealthy Manhattan hedge fund manager who suspected her husband of cheating. Mrs. Hedge Fund Manager had good instincts. She was dead on with her suspicions about her husband cheating, but she'd suspected the wrong woman. Her husband wasn't seeing the 20-something female associate he worked with, but his secretary. TJ had a feeling Mr. Hedge Fund Manager was about to find out the true meaning of cheaters never prosper. Mrs. Hedge Fund Manager had explained in no uncertain terms when she'd contracted with West Investigations for their services just what she would do to her husband's nether regions if they found evidence he was cheating. And that was before she took him for everything the courts would allow. And that was reason number 1,582,392 why TJ was never, ever getting married. Not that he'd ever cheat on his non-existent wife, or any other woman he was seeing. He was always up front with the women he dated. He didn't want a serious relationship, and he wasn't looking to have his mind changed at this point. The only woman he'd ever loved had died right as they were on the cusp of building a life together. He hadn't been sure he was going to make it through the loss, and he wasn't interested in feeling pain like that ever again. No, it was better to keep his...